Hi and welcome back to the garden. In this video I'm going to be showing you how to take root cuttings from Eryngiums or sea hollies, and the two I'm going to be doing is Eryngium Big Blue and Eryngium Colbolt Star. Eryngiums are beautiful perennials. They have these lovely, prickly, usually blue flower heads. They do come in white as well. And this particular one is called Big Blue. And we recently bought this from one of our travels in one of the nurseries in Scotland. And it has obviously gone over, it's gone to its seed head stage. And what we normally do is wait till winter to take these cuttings, but because they're in pots and because they're going to be going out into the garden soon, I thought we may as well take them now. We have taken them before in the summertime and we've always had good success. So let's start by just upturning the plant and let's have a look at the roots, because that's what we're interested in. So Eryngiums have quite fleshy roots. So on this one you can actually see some really good fleshy roots going around the bottom, and these are what we're interested in. So firstly I'm just going to try and just loosen some of these up, just so we can see whereabouts they're coming from. It's these roots that we're interested in. And if you leave them in a pot, they'll just keep going round and round and round. And what we're wanting to do is release some of them so we can take some cuttings from them. So there you go. So what I'm going to start by doing is just chopping off some of these that are really good and fleshy. Now we're going to be taking, in this instance, vertical root cuttings. So that means we want the root standing up end. Those are horizontal and those are vertical. So what we're wanting for these is we need to know which end is the south end and which is the north end, because if you put them the wrong way round they won't always root. So just using some secateurs, I'm just going to cut one piece off there, and just make sure you remember which way round they are. And then there's quite a zigzaggy one there, so I'm trying to find ideally straightish ones. It can be difficult to work out which way they are going. So let's go for one that's really, really obvious, which is, I think, this one. There we go. So there we are. So let's use that piece there. So we're looking at something like this. You've got, usually the bottom end will be thinner and the top end will be fatter. So I'm looking to get a piece a couple of inches long, remembering which way is up. And what I'm wanting to do is place that in the compost with the top end, so the top end that would have been closest to the plant, upwards. So I've just got some multi-purpose compost in these trays, and then just using like a dibber or a pencil, I'm just going to make a bit of a hole and I'm going to place that and push that up to the surface of where the compost is. So just so you can see it just poking out like that. So I'm just going to do the same with these other ones. So that one was the top, and then just using a knife or secateurs, I'm just going to slice and then make that hole and place it down. And Eryngiums are such versatile plants. They mix with a lot of different plants because they are so different, because the heads are different. They've got that prickly spiny look with that central cone. They do mingle really, really well in a mixed border or a perennial border. And that shot of blue that comes out is just stunning, absolutely stunning. I can't get enough of Eryngiums. So let's go for another one. And just make a hole. Pop that down. Bit more compost on that one. And some of these roots you'll be able to make a few of because they're that long. So I'll get 2 out of that one. Pop that in. And then some more. So as you may already know, we do have the Eryngium Neptune's Gold in our long border, our narrow long border should I say, and that grows beautifully. That has like a yellowish tinge to it. The leaves are yellowish, and also are the flower heads before they turn that beautiful blue colour. Once you've got them all there, I just like to cover them over with grit. So just covering them now so that you can't see the tops. And then the label. So that's one set. Now the second set is a very special Eryngium. So that can go into the garden. Get planted now, that can. This Eryngium is called Colbolt Star. Now this is the one we bought many years ago in Sheffield, and we bought it from Tatton Flower Show, and we had it in our Sheffield garden, and we brought it to our courtyard garden where it grew in a pot, and then when we moved to Manchester we gave it away to family, so we lost it. So I rebought this on the trip we had to Scotland recently, and I was advised by the lady who runs the nursery to chop off the actual old stem because it will start to regrow some fresh foliage, and she's right, because that's starting to form. And that's the same for all Eryngiums. When you do cut down the stems that are old, you do get a flush of leaf. But what we do tend to do is we tend to grow this for its, not only the flowers that come in summer, but also for its autumn and winter structure, because we do like to see these. I mean, these are still actually quite bluish. This is quite a striking one. Gets quite tall as well. So we had it years ago and we managed to find it, and we actually found it at the place it was actually bred and beknown to us. We were speaking to the actual lady who actually grew it, and there's a little story behind this one. So when this lady's son was back from university, she gave him the task of sorting through the old seed heads of an array of Eryngium she was growing at the time, and a lot of the seed, she said, is quite mushy and is not viable, but occasionally you do get a good viable seed. And within this load of Eryngium seed heads that the son was looking at, he managed to find a good number of seeds, and this is what one of them turned out to be. So this is Eryngium Colbolt Star, and it's very difficult to get hold of unless you actually go to where it was produced, which is the nursery, which is Elizabeth MacGregor's nursery in Scotland. So a little backstory to this. So I'm really pleased to have it again, and obviously I want to have more and more of these throughout the garden. So I'm going to get some root cuttings. This is the one that's particularly difficult to propagate unless you actually divide it or get cuttings. So I'm just going to look at it and see if I can get something from this. There's a lot of fibrous roots, and what I'm looking for is some thicker ones. Like I just uncovered one there. So I'm looking for these really thick roots. And sometimes you've got to follow it all the way around to find out where it's going to. So I'm just working my way around to see whereabouts these roots end up. So there we go. As you can see, they are fatter towards the top and they get thinner towards the end and more fibrous. So be careful not to snap them. So there we go, there's a nice curly one there as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to snip a bit of this root off. And I know which way round it is because we've got the fat end and a thinner end. And all I'm going to do is just snip this, like I've done with the other one, into small portions. And if I just do one at a time, it just means I'm not going to get confused with which way up the root's going to grow. Some people cut one side diagonally, one side straight, so they know which way is which. That's also a good idea. But I'm doing it one at a time so that I know where I'm up to with them. So the thinner ones, you want to kind of disregard those. So I'm going to try doing that node for that one. And then let's get this other one here, this nice big one. It does look a bit brutal to a plant when you start stripping it of its roots, but I am leaving a lot. I'm not just taking everything I can get. I will leave it with some. So I'm going to chuck that there. And it was doing these cuttings in the first place that enabled us to actually have plants to take when we moved to the courtyard garden, because the actual original one we actually left in Sheffield. Push them down just so you can just about see the tops. And because these are being propagated vegetatively, you're getting an identical copy of what the parent is. So I'm just going to see if I can get another one, another root that's fleshy. Don't want to go too mad. There we go. So I might just take that. So that's one more piece. I'm not going to do any more. I don't want to take any more from the plant. So I'll just pop them back into his container because he's going to be planted in the garden. And then what we want to do is a little bit of grit and just cover those over. Give them a bit of a press down. And don't forget that label so we know which one's which. So I'm going to give these a nice water, and I've just placed these somewhere out of the way, and then once we start to see that foliage appearing and these start to be growing bigger roots, on this one we'll be able to see it because you can see through the green tray. We'll then get them potted on and eventually out into the garden. I really do hope you've enjoyed the video. It's a really interesting and really fun way of propagating plants. I mean, who would think you can actually grow plants from roots? It's amazing. And I do hope you found it informative. If you do have these plants, if they're actually growing in the garden and you don't want to dig them up, you can just use a trowel and just dig around the plant, leaving the plant in situ, and just find one of those roots and just cut it while the plant is still in the ground. That means you're not disturbing the actual plant, and you're able still to get lots of cutting material to grow on new plants with. Please give us a like, please subscribe, and if you do have any comments about this process, please drop them in the comments box below. Until the next video, please take care. Can't remember what the music is nowadays. What is the music now?
It's like late 60s kind of thing, isn't it? But actually,
should be like jiving, shouldn't it?